There's a big fear around AI because when a business owner or the leader of an organization introduces AI to cut costs. And of course, the first thing people are going to think, well, is my job safe? Am I going to lose my job?
As you've watched the movies like Skynet and Terminator and all that good stuff, we understand that a lot of movies has warned us that if we get the robots and the robots get a little bit too smart, something's about to go down.
AI cannot fix a broken process by itself.
Many Bahamian businesses, they are very much interested in AI, and they're usually looking at AI from the perspective of they want to make money. So how can a Bahamian business make money using AI? Welcome back to this week's episode of the CryptoNoobz podcast, where we talk about money, tech, and digital opportunities for the Bahamas. I'm your host, Nelson Ricardo, and I'm usually joined with my co-host, Lamont Aswood, aka Lambo242. Now, unfortunately, Lambo isn't able to make it here today, but still, we are here joined today with our amazing guest, who is an AI consultant, someone who's been working in AI for a bit and really and truly has helped out many organizations and businesses with their workflows and other things, you know? So without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest for today, Mrs. Deneen Wheeler. How are you
Thank
doing,
you.
Miss Wheeler?
Thank you. How are you?
I am wonderful. And Miss Wheeler, so it's been great. I've definitely saw a lot of your posts on LinkedIn, and you've always seemed like such a master at your craft. You're seen as such a professional, and it's very clear from the things that you talk about, especially pertaining to AI, that you really understand what AI is and how it can really help businesses versus a lot of the more gimmicky stuff that we sometimes see. But without further ado, Mr. Neen, how are you?
I'm doing great today. And first of all, I want to thank you so much for having me on your podcast. And I look forward to being able to talk to your audience and share what I know about AI in business.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, Miss Wheeler, just to kick it off, I would like the audience to get to better understand who you are and what it is that you do, right? So, for the people who might not know who you are, introduce yourself and explain what is the type of work that you do with AI.
Okay. Well, I'm a certified AI consultant. And what I do is I help businesses and also people who have solo businesses find ways that they can implement AI into their current business practices and increase their productivity, find ways to save time, and find ways to make themselves more available for the things that require human action like creativity.
Awesome. So, you are on the side that AI, although it is very much helpful, it's always going to need that human element.
It's definitely always going to need that human element. A lot of people think that the robots are coming to take over, kind of like what happened in the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. But we're nowhere near that. We will definitely get to the point where we see a lot more automation and some higher end businesses may actually use robots. But if you've seen anything about the robots online, you know that right now where the robots are is nowhere near where they need to be able to help us in everyday life. If you've seen robots dancing or waiting on tables, you see that they're almost always involved in accidents.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So we would have had our conversation, offline, and we actually had shared some similarities. I actually came from the government sector myself, before I actually got into things like cryptocurrency and AI or what's not, right? So for you, I would like to understand, like, you had a background within healthcare, within government, and you decided to then pivot to AI. I would love for you to share your story as to how and the why did you even make this jump into AI?
Okay. Yes, I'd be glad to share that. Well, about a year and a half ago, I was working for the US government. That was the third time I had worked for the US government. I had worked for the government off and on for about 20 years. And on the same day, about five or 6,000 people at the agency where I worked, we all received a layoff notice. So immediately I was thrown into either finding a new job or finding some other kind of opportunity where I could continue to work and earn an income. So I tried a lot of different things. I searched for jobs for months. And then finally, I came across an opportunity to learn about AI and become an AI consultant and not just someone who was dabbling in AI and who knew how to log on to some of the AI websites, but someone who was also a professional and could also help other businesses and people strategize how to use AI. And the number one thing that I was looking for, and I'd like to impress this on your audience, is that I was looking for something that was on the upswing, something that's in high demand and that, we'll be using for years and years to come. And actually, I don't think that we've even touched the surface of how we're going to begin to use AI. So that was one of my main reasons after I received the layoff notice about 18 months ago. I was looking for something that I could do that I where a field where I would be in, where it would be a high demand area and where I could basically just have businesses come to me from all different sectors, whether it be government, healthcare, nonprofits, any kind of business can use AI.
And I wholeheartedly agree because we've been hearing about AI. Like AI has become such a huge topic. Even here in the Bahamas, our ministers just came from explaining how they're now looking into like AI policies. Like they're actually also going into AI education for the whole nation and things like that. So you could see that AI is now really capturing the attention of even those that kind of run the country. And you could see how it's super important. But even to what you just said, you had a job and out of nowhere, like not even hundreds, thousands of layoffs in one fell swoop. And you had to go and find something that is on the upswing that would allow you to be able to make money or what's not. The irony is usually when you hear about AI, people hear, oh, AI is going to take our jobs. Like, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that there's a big fear around AI because a lot of times when a business owner or the leader of an organization introduces AI, they say something like, we're introducing AI to cut costs. And of course, the first thing people are going to think, well, is my job safe? Am I going to lose my job? But a better way for a business leader or an organization leader, in the case where you were just describing how the Bahamian government is making a more concerted effort to introduce AI, is for them to say, we're introducing AI to increase productivity, because that's essentially what it does.
Mhm.
So people shouldn't be afraid that AI is going to necessarily take their job. What they should be more focused on is that I need to have some skills with AI so that I become more valuable to the place where I work, because those are the people that are going to excel in this new economy. AI is not coming, it's already here.
Very much true. Very much true. I personally see it as just the evolution. Like back in the day, you know, we had typewriters. Being a typewriter was an actual job. And unfortunately, it's not a job anymore because it was replaced by basically people with laptops and desktops.
Mhm.
But still, we're all typewriting now. Technically, everybody has a keyboard in their home. You feel me? So, and everybody's now working from a computer or knows how to work from a computer in some type, way, shape, or form. So, a lot of times when people fear technology, what you find out is that that technology becomes standardized and people just begin to use it once again. The computer was a dumb idea. The cell phone was also a dumb idea. And no one thought anything was going to happen from it. Even the internet, it was initially called the information superhighway, and a lot of people did not like the idea, but it came here and it stayed. And now everyone has a cell phone. Remember, no one really thought that a cell phone was going to be needed because everyone had a paid phone or everyone had a phone in their house.
Right.
Everyone has one now. No one
Hmm.
goes anywhere without their cell. So earlier in one of our private conversations, you would have told me about how you had a presentation, and inside of your presentation, it was named AI is not the challenge, workforce readiness is. Could you explain to us what do you mean by that?
Yes, a lot of businesses are excited about AI, and rightly they should be. And so the challenge with businesses is not the lack of availability of AI tools, it's how do we implement it in a way that's going to push our business forward. So the main focus for a business that either has minimal AI or no AI use at all should not be just to rush out and buy or log on to websites and get access to AI tools. The first thing that they're going to want to do is look at their workforce, whether they have a business like a restaurant or a manufacturing business or some other, even a government organization. What day to day task are we doing? What are repetitive tasks? What are tasks that are draining people that we could actually use AI to automate and free up our workforce to do things that require human interaction? So, the first thing that businesses need to do is to do a workforce audit to see what actually they're doing. Or are there any places in our day to day work activities where there's a bottleneck? Where there's something that slows us down, that if we could speed up this one thing or these one or two processes, it would make us so much more efficient and help us to improve our bottom line by helping us to help people faster and also make more money. That's the first thing that they need to do. So that the challenge is not AI tools. By the time your podcast comes out, there'll probably be a brand new AI tool on the market that we don't know about today.
Real talk. Very much true. But even with that, I think there is sometimes, although we understand that AI could be very helpful, I do think that there is sometimes a bit of fear
Mhm.
of how complex the AI could be. So, do you think that businesses are struggling with AI because it's too complicated, or you think it's because their people and processes are just not prepared?
Yes, I think that it's what you just said. The second thing is key is that the people and the processes are simply not prepared to have AI introduced into their business or their organization structure. A lot of times, what people think, because AI is so incredibly smart, it's basically all of human knowledge compacted so that we can ask it questions and get answers instantly. So a lot of times people think if I just, throw AI at something, it's going to magically fix it. But the thing about it is that AI cannot fix a broken process by itself. So if you have a business where you're losing business because the main complaint from your customers is that they don't have great customer service, putting an AI tool inside the business, that's really not going to fix what the issue is. The issue is people want prompt, courteous, efficient service, but an AI tool can't fix that. So a lot of times what businesses do is they think that the issue is A when actually the issue is B, C, or D, but they just figure, well, everybody's using AI. I got to get on the AI bandwagon because I don't want to be left behind. And what they really have is something that's even more complex because they basically spent some money, I should say, on AI and they're expecting the workforce to use it. And the workforce is like, what do we do with this?
Yeah, like I wholeheartedly agree with you because you can't just expect to put the new shiny object into the pipeline or into the workflow and then think, okay, yeah, we just gonna go and use this.
Yes.
But here's the thing, like, have you ever found the case where you just said, you don't need AI for this, you need probably something else?
One of the things that an AI consultant will do is something that we call a business audit. So we'll sit down with the business owner, or a lot of times people, what we call a solopreneur. They're the whole business, whatever it may be. Say, for instance, somebody might have a small landscaping company and they're starting out small and they are the ones that are doing everything. Or it could be where there are 5 or 10 employees, whatever the case may be, or a larger organization. The first thing you want to do is sit down with whoever is in charge and find out what are the day-to-day tasks. And sometimes people may want to automate something that you don't want to automate because that's what makes the business uniquely you. For instance, if you were looking for a way to automate the business that you have with your podcast, you're not going to replace yourself as the person asking questions. That's something that requires human interaction, human creativity, and human ingenuity. So you're always going to be in that place, but you may find some places in your business where, hey, if we used AI for this one particular thing, it's going to make us take off like a rocket. For instance, you may want to implement AI in how you get the information out about your podcast being available, like on social media. Social media is one of the main ways that a business can automate something, and they haven't taken anything away from their creativity. They haven't taken anything away from their productivity, but you have to admit that the business or the organization that's not on social media today, they're missing a lot of opportunity to attract customers and get great reviews from people all over the world about the product or service that they offer.
I see. I understand that. So, what are the biggest problems that most businesses are trying to solve using AI? Like, what do you think when you speak to different leaders?
Some of the biggest problems that they're trying to solve with AI are things that I mentioned before are repetitive tasks, things that somebody has to do over and over again, and it can produce the same or a similar result, but they have a person doing it instead of what we call AI agents or an AI bot doing it. And if they could take that same person and use them somewhere else in the business and allow AI to do the repetitive tasks, say, for instance, like a voice AI agent that answers inbound phone calls. The voice AI agent can be programmed to answer a basic set of questions that pertain to how the business operates, hours of operation, location of the business. If it's an appointment based business, say, for instance, like a dental office, when they can get a dental appointment for a cleaning or a checkup, basic pricing, those kinds of things. Those are standard answers that can be programmed into an AI voice agent. And it's not that the person who used to answer the phone would lose their job. They can be working somewhere else in the dental office and allowing the AI agent to take the basic calls. And then if the AI agent gets to a point where they can't answer a more complex question, then it's forwarded to a human who can go into great detail with the answer that the person needs to either get their appointment or get their problem solved so that they can come in and get their dental care taken care of.
So, and thank you so much for that knowledge about how it could really be used, right? So, as you know, I'm from the Bahamas, and in the Bahamas, we do have a lot of various businesses that are looking to actually level up using AI, and many of them don't really know how to go about that, right?
Mhm.
But just from your experience, what I want to first start off with is what is it that most business owners and organizations misunderstand about AI?
Okay, I think that one of the things, and we're going to look at it from an organization standpoint, or maybe say, for instance, a government agency or a nonprofit or a medium sized business. One of the things that businesses misunderstand about AI is that they cannot decide from a leadership standpoint, this is what we're going to do with AI. And on Monday, everybody's going to start using it. You know, we make this decision on Thursday or Friday, and everybody's going to start using it because it's a process. Anything in life where people have input into, they're more likely to support, just like in a family unit. In a family, everybody doesn't always necessarily agree with everything that their family members do, but because we have that family bond and we can offer advice or solutions or input on someone may be having, then that allows us to participate more actively in their life. Same thing at work. If you're told you have to do this and you haven't been given any training on it, you haven't been given any policy on it, any kind of information about what it's supposed to do to make your job better, there's going to be resistance. So, one of the main things that organizations or businesses need to do is to first have a plan. How are we going to implement AI into the workforce? How are we going to make our workforce or our staff aware? We're going to bring AI on. We're going to use it initially for these two small things because you don't want to bring it in and have it just automate everything in a business that has 400 or 500 people because you won't know where the problems are. You want to start with a plan. You want to start with it having a few small tasks, training for the people that are going to use it, and then a chance to evaluate it and then accelerate how you're using it. But you always have to start with a plan and introducing it to the workforce before you even use it at all.
Mhm. So start with the plan, take your time, and actually get people's feedback inside of it as well. Okay, okay, wonderful. So here's the thing, right? How, as a consultant, and this is definitely where you're gonna need some consultation, right? I guess it's after the audit that a business owner would know whether or not they would even need AI or anything like that. So that brings me to this. Most Bahamian businesses, they want to use AI, but
Mhm.
they simply don't know what AI to use or how they could really use it. So many Bahamian businesses, they are very much interested in AI. And many Bahamian businesses are usually looking at AI from the perspective of they want to make money. So how can a Bahamian business make money using AI?
Well, one of the first things that I would do is to any business, whether they're using AI or not, is if they want to seek professional advice from an AI consultant, they can do that. Or they can simply go to the free version of Chat GPT and type in some basic information about their business. Say, for instance, if it's a business that's a tourism business, they type in the information about their tourism business, the tours that they offer, their pricing, and just, I would say, three or four really clear details about the services that they offer and the benefits that people get from them and then say, this is what I do. I have a snorkeling business. I run it these days of the week. This is my usual pricing. And ask AI, how can I accelerate what I already do? They'll be amazed at the feedback that they get from AI about how they can make their business more profitable, more efficient, and easier to run.
Nice, nice. I do remember you were saying something about that you had a presentation that you wanted to show our audience today, and I'm going to bring it up right now.
Awesome.
All right. So can you see it on the screen?
Yes.
All right.
So these are three ways that Bahamians can make money with a plan starting today. The first one is your AI income audit prompt. So this is going to be personalized for any person who puts it in. This is what you're going to do. Even if you don't use Chat GPT, you're going to open up Chat GPT. It's free. There's a free version of it. And you're going to type this in. I want you to act as my personal AI career and income strategist. Here is a list of my skills. You list all your skills, whatever they may be: writing, telling jokes, making people laugh, making programs, singing, being a tour guide. Here is a list of my work experience. List every job you've ever done, starting from when you were 12 or 15 years old, working at the neighborhood bakery, and what you did on those jobs. Here is what I enjoy doing. What do you do in your leisure time? What makes you happy? What makes you laugh? Based on all of this, Show me 5 specific ways I can make money using free AI tools. So all of this is free. And then the last thing that you're going to type in is for each idea, tell me what the opportunity is, which free AI tool to use, who would pay me for it, and what my first step is to get started this week. You're going to press enter. You notice I didn't say you had to enter any of your personal information like your name, your birth date, or anything like that. You're just telling the free version of Chat GPT, if you don't already use it, what you do, what you've done, and what you enjoy doing, and then tell it. Tell me how I can start making money on this and what my first step is this week. It's going to be customized for you and what you can do using free versions of any AI platform that's out there so that you can start monetizing and making money off your experience and your skills that you already have. Because whether we want to give ourselves the props or not, we all have experience and life skills that other people would pay for if they knew that those skills existed.
This is amazing. Yes. And I could definitely see how that could really pull from the things that you already understand and the areas that you're already skillful in or experienced in.
Exactly.
And it allows you to start making money from that. Like, this is great.
Yes. Yeah. So it could be somebody that's a retired school teacher, could be somebody that already has a full time job, but they're just looking for extra income. It ranges from one end of the business or employment spectrum to the other. Someone who wants to make a few dollars on the side to someone who wants to do it full time as a business.
It's really interesting. This is really something that I think a lot of Bahamians need because, once again, so I personally believe that in the Bahamas, you need at least 2 to 3 forms of income just to survive.
Okay.
And I feel as if a lot of Bahamians, they want to find other means of income. We can admit it. Sometimes it gets hard over here. Sometimes you have a lot going on. You have to feed the kids. There might be a whole lot of debt building up and things like that. So although we love to talk about things from like finance as well, right? And we just came from a podcast talking about building your emergency fund and learning how to save. I also think, along with investing and saving, income generation is like hugely important.
Exactly. Yes, you're right about that. And I just also like to add that the situation that you just described in the Bahamas is something that we're experiencing on a global level because for the most part, people in the United States, one job or one income in a household, that's not sufficient to be able to have enough money to function on an everyday basis. So AI basically has cracked the code, if you will, on how everyday people can use the skills and knowledge that they already have to bring them to the marketplace, to offer it in the marketplace so that they can be paid for their expertise.
So, what is something else that you wanted to show us?
Okay, if you go to the next slide, it has the other two options that I mentioned to you. So the second thing that somebody specifically in the Bahamas can do is launch a digital freelance service. Again, we're only using free tools for now. They're going to use Chat GPT and the free version of Canva. They're going to create a marketable service like copywriting, making content, making bios, making funeral programs, anything like that with Chat GPT and Canva to build a portfolio sample. Use some pictures. Chat GPT can even create images. And then they're going to list their portfolio either on Fiverr or Upwork and start earning money globally. So it is a business that they're launching from the comfort of their home in the Bahamas, but they're sending it out to the world via Fiverr or Upwork.
I like this. Let me tell you why, right? So, within our CryptoNoobz community, we have some people who actually work on Fiverr.
Okay.
So definitely, especially for Bahamians, we can use Fiverr. We do have that ability to use Fiverr. But one of the things that I also would have learned is that, sometimes Fiverr does take some time to grow, right? We
Hmm.
like to be honest. And with this skill, you not only could make money from Fiverr, and just as you said, use it to build a portfolio first, actually be able to show your work, especially if the things that you are building and designing using AI really stand out. But you have the option to both freelance, as in finding customers here in the Bahamas, because once again, there is that gap. The gap does exist. You can also go on Fiverr and, make some money there because guess what? There are people all around the world still looking for that skill, like YouTube thumbnail. And just as you said, funeral pamphlets and what's not. This is a quick sidebar, a very, very, very quick sidebar. There was this whole, debate of if you're using AI for design, are you really a designer or what's not, right?
Hmm.
You could be a designer and still use AI. Once again, AI is just a tool.
That's it.
So you could still bring your design skills, use AI to make a faster output or allow it to elevate your design. Sometimes you need certain images or certain things that we might not be able to get, and we could just create that and still use whatever design tool that you want to use.
Correct. And when you say that people have made the comment that if you use AI, you're not designing, you may have not created the design from scratch, but it's up to you to use your human judgment to determine whether or not that design will be appealing to anyone else. So you can tell AI to generate, you know, 100 images, but you determine which of those 100 images would be marketable and you would be able to sell to someone as a business. So it does require human interaction and human judgment because everything that's created by AI is not appealing.
hmm And so AI skill and income audit launch a digital freelance service, an AI powered local business consultant.
Right. With that one, they would use again the free version of Chat GPT for a local business, for instance, a restaurant or a tour company in the Bahamas, to identify ways they can increase their revenue from pricing or either customer retention, upsells, or social media idea. So the idea behind this business offer is that a person would say to a local business owner, "Hey, I can help you maximize or increase your profit." They go to the business owner and say they give them a price that they believe is fair. They negotiate with the business owner and the business owner at this point because you're operating a business, so you have to think like a business person and say, "I'm going to give you 5 ways that you can increase your revenue by doing different things with your pricing, helping you make sure that the customers that you have are already happy. And I'm also going to show you ways that the services that you offer, you can offer upsells with them. And I'm going to bring you some social media ideas. I'm going to do this for you, and I'm going to bring you a package. And this is the price that I offer." And the business owner and the business owner who's offering this service can come to an agreement and say yes or no, and that person makes money. Another way with number 3, that this can be an even more powerful business tool if it's in the hand of a person who has great ambition, is they can say to that business owner, "I'll do this for you on a monthly basis." So they get an upfront fee to start doing the service, we'll say in June of 2026, but I'll do it for you on a monthly basis. If you pay me $95 a month, I'll give you social media content for 3 days a week or $95 a month or whatever the price may be. You're going to determine as the business owner what's a fair use of your time, and the owner of the restaurant, the landscaping company, the tour company will determine if your price is fair for them. But the main point behind all 3 of these, Nelson, is that they're all free to get started. The main thing that the person has to do is to use our most valuable resource, which can't be replaced, is their time. And that's one of the things that people miss when they criticize AI is that AI is giving back us as humans our time so that we can use our time for things that only humans can do and allow AI to do things that AI can do quickly so that we can bring services like these three. These are just three on the tip of the iceberg of things that people can do to start for free and be able to make money.
Yes, yes, yes. I wholeheartedly agree. And it even makes me more excited for what is in the last slide.
So if you want to connect with me after the podcast is over, this is a way you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I'm the founder and the CEO of my company, AI Empowerovation. And I would love to keep the conversation going, especially on LinkedIn. I love to talk to people on LinkedIn and make new connections.
Yes, yes. And once again, if she teaches a lot on AI, I have seen several of her posts. She's really very much an open person. She has no problem having conversations or whatnot, hence why she's on our podcast today. And yeah, she also helps a lot of businesses when it comes to AI compliance as well as implementation. So yeah, please check out Miss Deneen Wheeler on her socials. So we just came from talking about how is it that people could actually, make money using free tools with AI, right? And a lot of people are looking to get into freelancing, have a side gig, have a side hustle or whatnot. And we also covered now how AI could actually help people in businesses. But now I do think that we need to have a real conversation. A lot of people do fear that AI is going to replace jobs, but what jobs do you think are going to get replaced or at least will have to be transformed due to AI?
I think that the jobs that are going to be replaced or somewhat augmented or changed because of AI are jobs that are basically based on repetitive tasks. Let's go back to the example that you used earlier in the podcast where you talked about the typewriter. Well, remember before any of us were born, in the olden days, how farming was done using cattle and horses. And then with the advent of automation came tractors and other automated farm equipment, where now a person who uses a horse or something to plow their fields and they have a large farm, they're basically losing money. The same analogy can be used for a person who works in, let's say, a company where there's a lot of data entry. If that company is using 5 or 10 people to do data entry and the company across the street is using AI for the same data entry, the bottom line for the company that's using the 5 to 10 people is going to be a lot lower than the company that has decided to automate because they can take those same 5 to 10 people instead of them doing data entry, they can have them doing something else like analysis of the data that was brought in. And their company is already escalating what they've been able to earn with the same 10 people, only they were using AI to augment what the processes that they were already doing. I heard somebody say recently that they had 30 employees. And what they did with their 30 employees is that they gave all 30 employees 10 AI agents. So 30 times 10 is 300. So what he said he did, he took his 30-person staff, and by giving each of the 30 employees 10 AI agents, he turned it into a 300-person corporation. So that's what's going to happen with AI. The same 10 people may keep their job at the company that is on one side of the street, but because the company on the other side of the street is also utilizing AI and maximizing what their staff is able to put out in an 8-hour period, then that's going to make that company much more competitive, and it's going to create such a profit gap in between those. Eventually, the company that's not using AI will either have to adapt or go into another business. Because the bottom line is that the companies that don't make money in the age that we're living that we're living in right now, how are they going to be able to stay in business if they're competing against other companies that are making money by utilizing the AI tools? That's the question.
That's a serious situation because it really will be you're either going to get on or step off type of situation. It's only going to go two ways. And I think as we continue to advance with AI and just technology in general,
Hmm.
a lot of people will either have to improve or they will just have to get left behind. But if you get left behind, what we're here today for is so that people don't get left behind.
Yes,
So
yes.
please, to the audience, listen to what's going on and actually make those adjustments. Now, what skills do you think is going to keep people valuable? Like, I know you say some level of AI training, and I think that that is going to be needed, right? But what do you think that workers should start learning now so that they are not caught off guard?
Actually, for the people who've been listening to your podcast today, they could take that first prompt that was shown on the screen about how they can make money for AI and alter it just slightly and type into a free version of Chat GPT and say, these are my skills. What can I do in my current job if they're working anywhere in the government or a private organization to ensure that I have AI skills that will make me more valuable in the workplace now? It's going to give them a list of anywhere from 5 to 10 or 20 or plus things that they can do to learn about AI that they can use in their current job. But some of the skills that people can use for AI is, first of all, simply is just an awareness of AI. Know the basic tools that exist, not 500, not 100, not 40. Be able to use Chat GPT and type in something and get an answer and evaluate it. So, one thing, the first step is awareness. The second thing is to begin to use AI in your everyday life for tasks that you feel comfortable doing. And that way, if your organization or your business or your company or your government agency says, hey, we're going to have to start using AI for these 5 or 10 work processes, you're not fearful of using AI because you've already been using it, say, for instance, to get recipes or anything like that that you might want to use AI for in your everyday life. So, first is awareness. The second thing is adoption. You're going to begin to use AI in your everyday life. That doesn't mean that you have to use AI every day, but you're going to be able to use AI for everyday tasks. And
Hmm.
then the last step is acceleration, where you start to use AI so much that it just becomes a natural thing. You know how now people say, Google it. In the future, people will say, well, what does Chat GPT say about that? Did you search for that? So Google is going to be replaced as far as being the only search engine that people go to find answers with AI tools that can give a lot more in-depth answers and also not just the answer, but the source. Where did you get that information from?
But let's talk about governance,
Okay.
AI governance.
Okay.
So as you watch the movies like Skynet and Terminator and all that good stuff, right? We understand that a lot of movies has warned us that, hey, if we get the robots and the robots get a little bit too smart, you know, something's about to go down. So when we're bringing these AIs into our companies, into our businesses,
Hmm.
right? And they are going to be getting information or what's not, right? What I want to know is about AI governance. Like, how do you create guardrails where the AI would know, hey, this is what we can do, and this is how we stay safe, and this is what you're absolutely not supposed to do? Or at least I just want you to speak to that to the audience.
Okay. Yeah, because that's going to be something that's going to be a big challenge moving forward as AI becomes more incorporated into what businesses use it for and the extent that businesses use it for, especially in something like healthcare where there's concerns about patient privacy. So the first thing that with governance is that the organization or the company is going to have to define the approved AI tools. So it won't be just a matter of a person who works at a company opening up their laptop or their computer at work and putting business information into a free version of Chat GPT, because the organization is already going to have to say, these are the list of tools that we use. These are the tools that we pay for. And these are the ones that we allow for our work processes. So that's the first thing, is a list of approved AI tools for that business. The second thing is what you just mentioned in the question, is we're going to have to make sure that the business establishes data protection, because no one wants to have a business where it's found out that a person's personal information was spread all over the internet because there was no data safety in place. So that's the second thing. First, the tools, then data protection. The third thing that's going to happen is the staff is going to have a list of acceptable and prohibited uses. So, for instance, we'll go back to the healthcare example. It has to be understood that just because a person has access to a patient or a client's healthcare information, they're not allowed to go into that file just to search it out, just to find out what's going on with that person. It's on a need to know basis. If you don't have involvement with that person's direct care, there's no need for you to search out their information. The fourth thing is, it's going to have to be very clear in the company's plan what part of this requires human oversight. So again, instead of us waiting, on the side for the Terminator robots to take over, we need to say up front, this is the part in our business where we know we want a human to review what happened. And then the last thing, bar none, is to provide training, because it's easy for someone to say, we had a plan in place, we knew what the tools were, we told our staff what they had to do, but people have to be trained on how the company wants these AI tools used, and also that they are aware of the guardrails that the company has in place. So training is key to all of this. You want to make sure that the people who have these powerful tools in their hands know how to use them correctly and within the guidelines that have been set up by the company.
That is a lot of wisdom right there. And I think that a lot of people didn't really see it that way. That although AI is fun, you know, it could also lead to data breaches if you don't have the right guardrails in places, as well as for business owners. Just being able to say that what I liked, what you said, was about training. So training the staff, making sure that the AI knows what to do from what not to do, and the company having a list. I think that was one of the most important parts. The company having a list of acceptable and non-acceptable AIs, as in, hey, these are the specific AIs that we use. We do not use anything outside of this. If a particular tool is compromised, and that's the tool that your company uses, versus a particular tool that is a lot more structured, that has a lot more security mechanisms, I think it protects you.
Yes.
And data protection is super important. So guys, remember that data protection is very important when it comes to AI. You can't use AI in everything. The worst thing that you want is a very sensitive company, a company that has very sensitive data, just like how you said, healthcare, that getting out. So that does take me to this question, right? If you were advising Bahamian businesses, schools, or even government adjacent organizations, what would your AI readiness roadmap look like for the next 12 months?
Well, the first thing that I would focus on for an agency that's affiliated with the government or even the government itself, is the first step would be, I should say, is awareness and education. Because even though we're sitting here talking about AI on your podcast, there are many people who have no idea of the first thing to do or to start to be able to do to use AI. So the first thing would be awareness and education. So have a robust public education information platform, whether it be on social media, the radio, TV, telling people about, hey, this is how the Bahamian government is going to implement AI and make the things that we do in government easier, accessible for our citizens, and make sure that people see it in a way that it's non threatening, that it's just information that we're giving you about what is about to come down the pike. We're giving you education about it, and we're making you aware of these are the kinds of things that are going to be happening. The second thing is I would identify the high value use cases. So everything is not going to be automated. Everything is not going to be done by robots. What are things that can be done that are going to give the most bang for our buck? If we have a limited set of resources and what we're going to use AI on, what are the first 3 to 5 things that we can use AI to do that are going to have a profound impact on the services that we offer? So that's the second thing. The third thing is you definitely want to have a policy in place and governance in place with those guardrails that we just talked about a few minutes ago. What's acceptable, what's not acceptable, what kind of data are we going to allow in our systems that are being touched by AI. The fourth thing is I would conduct a few small test runs. So even though we know that we're going to use it for things that range from A through G, we're not going to start with all 7 or 8 things at one time. We're going to start with 1 or 2 things and implement those and make sure that those are running smoothly. Once we see that A is working okay and B is working okay, then we'll move down to other activities or tasks or business uses that we want to use AI for. But we're not just going to throw everything at it at one time and hope that it works. We're going to start in small steps. And the last thing I would do is to invest in training and development for the workforce. Make sure that not only do we have these tools in place, but that people are comfortable using these tools and they understand how to use them. Because the thing about it, Nelson, is that we can't say on this date in 2026 that AI is coming. AI is already here. The question is, how are we going to use it?
Definitely, definitely. It really is. And that's really important. And I think that that is a very good roadmap. And I think that that is something that the government really needs to strongly consider. We need a workforce who understands it. We need it to be slowly implemented. Can't be too fast. Because the thing is, I've actually worked with digital transformation before, and I realized a lot of Bahamians are very much interested in new technology.
Hmm.
A lot of Bahamians are interested in new technology, but they are more responsive and more accepting of when the technology comes in a manner that it's not forced upon them, but it actually just has a strong use case for them
Yes,
versus when they feel like it's forced upon them.
correct. Yes.
Yes. So, our final question for today, Miss Wheeler, and I just would like to thank you for all of the wisdom that you've given to our audience as well as myself, right?
You're welcome.
What is the bigger danger for the Bahamas? AI taking jobs or Bahamians not being trained fast enough to compete in an AI powered economy?
Wow, that's a great question. But I definitely believe that the greater risk is not AI taking jobs because we've talked about this during your entire podcast today. There are certain things that AI cannot do that only humans can do that require human judgment, human interaction, and human creativity. The greater risk is people not being prepared for how work is changing. Work is changing because of the implementation and the use of AI across the board in every sector. I don't care what industry you name, AI has some footprint or fingerprint in it, and it's being used on some level. There's something that's called shadow AI, where the business owner hasn't sanctioned the use of AI, but the employees are using it on an everyday basis because it's making their job easier. But instead of having shadow AI, just go ahead and implement the AI tools that you want to safely use in your business. So the emphasis won't be on people having to sneak around and use AI tools, but the emphasis will be on how can we maximize the tools that are already available. The question is not whether AI is coming, it's already here. The question is, how do we prepare people quickly enough to use the AI tools that are already here so that the businesses can be productive and also that people who already work at these businesses are getting the benefit of being highly educated and trained in AI, because that's going to differentiate the next generation of employees, people who are well trained in AI and people who have heard about AI but have been resistant or hesitant to use it.
Excellent answer. Once again, for those who want to keep the conversation going, this is Mrs. Deneen Wheeler. She's the founder and CEO of
AI Empower Ovation. I took the word empower and ovation and merged them together because I want to empower people by letting them see how AI can innovate their lives, their businesses, and their everyday aspects that AI is going to impact us every which way you can imagine. It would be like telling somebody, I need your cell phone for the next month and just go about your everyday business. They would feel lost.
But yes, once again, Miss Wheeler, thank you so much for joining us on the Crypto News podcast. We appreciate everything that you had to share with us, and we definitely look forward to keeping the conversation going. For all of you, here her information is right here on the screen. Her LinkedIn is Deneen Wheeler. Her website is comply.ai.empowerovation.net, and you could also connect her in email when you actually send her a DM. Are there any last words that you would just like to tell the audience, Miss Wheeler?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on your podcast today. And I actually look forward to the feedback that you get from your audience about how they were able to break past any apprehension they had about using AI and start to use it to benefit their everyday life and also to use it to monetize their skills that they already have and to make money in the workforce.
Awesome, awesome. Well, once again, this has been another episode of the CryptoNoobz podcast. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.